All right, best day of the week, y'all. I am so happy to be here with my girl, Taylor. Taylor is host of the Aligned and Ambitious podcast. She is a mindset mentor turned business coach who helps women make that cash money on the internet. She started her business from the ground up, left her day job, and hit six figures within 14 months while having fun doing it. She's all about helping people, helping women to serve at a higher level with way more flow. Can definitely get behind that. Taylor, I'm so flippin' happy you're here today.
I'm so excited to be here today.
So I just want to share a really quick story on how I met you. I was enrolled in this program where I was wanting to not be this ads guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I was needing some help, right? And so I'm in this program and we have these weekly Q&A calls to get incredible support. And who other than Taylor is leading this cohort? I instantly fell in love. My experience of you was, you're just this magnetic beam of light, but you were you were so savvy. You are so savvy. You're so smart and you were so damn lovely. And I am just so thrilled to share your perspective, your talents and gifts with everyone today. You just are so amazing at what you do.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get that clip and play it to myself when I need a hype woman.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, let's dive in. How was 2020 for you, by the way?
So it was my full first year in business away from corporate. So I left corporate the middle of 2019. And I had all of these plans to travel and do, all the extravagant things you see on Instagram. We essentially had planned for our year with the intention to settle down next year and talk about planning roots and building a house and starting a family. And we actually, right before the pandemic hit, we were supposed to go to a Tony Robbins event, my husband and I. And we found out 2 days before that we were going into lockdown. And so we had all these trips that we canceled, and my kind of gut reaction was we'll just kind of invert the yearly intentions. And this year will be about building roots and focusing on the personal life and our family and, setting myself up to scale in a way that when things are open again, I have even more space and freedom in my life and in my business.
One thing that I really connect to in other leaders is their vulnerability. And I have personally tasked myself with just being as vulnerable as I can in my shares and my content, right? Brene Brown comes to mind. She is just so inspiring, right? And when I read your content, I feel that similar piece because you share so openly and you're not afraid to reveal the challenges and the struggle. And I think you wrote something about feeling overwhelmed and lost and, all the emotions that we all felt last year and just how you navigated this by stepping away from a certain goal that you had in mind, and you took a step back and you focused on mental health and healing and you did soul searching. You overhauled your brand, restructured your programs, you shifted a big chunk of your business model.
It was.
And releasing clients and other things.
Yeah. Well, okay, you said, there's no fear. And I actually think we could unpack that because I was talking about this last night on Instagram. There's totally fear. I feel the same fear as other people feeling resistant to share. It's just, I think there's a level where you have like the tools and the skill sets and the connection with yourself and like just being grounded to say, I can feel afraid and not make it about me and post it because I know someone else needs to hear it. And a lot of the times I think those messages are coming from me craving what I wish to hear, what I wish someone would talk about.
Yeah. I know you also talk about just not always feeling that you could express yourself fully. And I completely resonate with that. I mean, I toned down my voice and hid in this little invisible box for a really long time. A lot of our clients come up against those same challenges. And so for you, was it like a point A to point Z straight linear path for getting to the point now where you feel that you do have the tools and can be yourself and share all of that? Or what was it like? What was your process like?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever linear. And for me, the visual that comes to mind is like a staircase or like running a marathon. It's like you can run 1 mile and you build up the endurance, right? And it becomes easy to do, but then you shoot for 3 miles and it's a little bit more challenging and you start to face some of the challenges that came back from mile 1 and you keep going, you're going for 5 miles. This feels impossible, but you've done 3 miles and you're almost there. And I think the same is true for life and entrepreneurship is these things will resurface because as you expand, like everything has to expand within you, the beliefs and your circle and your mentors and your clients and your prices and all of the things have to grow or else it won't be fully integrated. So I almost think it's like I energetically grow and then there's this like gap where everything else has to catch up. Like my body has to catch up and my mind has to catch up and my logical brain has to catch up. But I definitely don't think it's linear.
It's the evolution.
It's the evolution, yeah. And it gets easier. You can move through it quicker. It just will still be present. And it's because we're human. I think that like just normalizing that really simple concept of that we're people, sometimes people ask me, what if something happens in your personal life and you have to like step away from business or whatever? It's like you step away. We are people. We can have a bad day. I have meltdowns. I cry. I feel sad. I fear that I'm not going to meet my launch goals. I think people might think I suck. Like there was a point in December where I was like, I wonder if everyone forgot about me, but then and I didn't make it mean anything. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's so liberating for people to just understand that how you put it, every new level, new devil, right? There's always stuff. Like it's never not messy in a way, right? Like that's never going to be the case. There was when we're thinking about evolution, there was something else that you wrote about evolving out of. And I would love to talk about this. And it was about how you went from selling lower ticket things to higher ticket things without ads, without sales calls. And you are speaking my language, sister. So my question for you is, and of course we want to hear the juicy details of how that came to be, but is it low ticket or high ticket for you now, and why?
It's funny because just yesterday I was thinking about how last year I set up the foundation of my business to scale my coaching programs this year. And now, they're all full and I'm like, I worked to get here, but now I kind of want to take this year to like scale the passive programs and to, step away from coaching a little bit to give myself more space in my schedule. But I think for this year, it's high ticket. For next year, I think it's going to be low ticket. And that's one of those things I just don't marry myself to. I always try to say, where am I outside of my online platform? And, if we're traveling or if we're going to start a family or if we're going to be buying a house, I try to accommodate the business model for those different seasons of life. And it feels like, at least for the chapter I'm in right now, it's like there's a new season every couple of weeks, it's feeling like. So, but with that whole transition and evolution, when we met, I was doing mindset coaching and I was showing up as a co-coach representing someone else's business and someone else's company and bringing my spirit and my energy and my expertise and my mentorship and my personal experience. And I'm like, I'm damn good at this. And I got such a good response, and I was so knowledgeable. I mean, my career was literally business and funnels and strategy and marketing and all of the things, but I just had a really deep understanding for the energetic piece of it. And I was so passionate about that. And I think it was even borderline imposter. Like, can I really, teach about business? Which, I moved past, but I just remember there was a point where I felt like I was attracting people that were just so low energy that it was just a signal to me that something was out of alignment. And when I took a step back to think about what am I actually doing and embodying in my life, the words CEO integration came to mind. And that's when the aligned and ambitious didn't exist at the time, but that's really what it morphed into, because I was like, I have the strategy, I know the tactics, I'm very ambitious and willing to do the work. But for me, the precedent is the energetic and the mindset. So I said, let me just see if people respond to me just showing up as is, not being so niche down or just, carrying something. I'm not a business coach. I'm not a mindset coach, but here's what I have to offer. I didn't even really know what it would look like. And I was very open about that, but people just felt how excited I was. And high ticket to me at that point in my business, that package was $4,000. Now my highest ticket package right now is 30 grand. And that felt like so much to me, but I was getting paid in fulls. And I was like, I didn't even think I had these people in my audience, which is something I hear my clients say all the time. And you just never know who's watching and waiting for you to drop the right thing for them.
You never know. Right? Oh my gosh.
About social media, like, you don't know ever what's going on behind closed doors. And even though, like, you and I, and there's so many people that are really committed to the vulnerability and honesty, there's still only so much you can share.
Yeah. So is that, like, do you feel where you are in this season of business that your soul is just on fire? The offerings, the programs, the coaching you're doing, and the people, the humans that you're coaching, does everything feel like, man, this is it?
Yeah, the women I'm working with right now just set such a high standard. I think they healed me in a way with, these women that I was manifesting and journaling, the perfect person. I mean, I'm surrounded by them now. And I even got off a coaching call earlier where we were just like banging strategy and going into so many things. And she was excited and I was excited, and the hour flew by. And I remember early on in my business, I was working with people where I was like, oh God, is this over yet? Or it just feels off. And I think early on, it's just settling, right? Like, I'll work whoever wants to work with me because I'm just getting started out. But I think we should set that standard from the beginning.
Amen to that. And it's so interesting because for you, I would imagine, and I'm going to make an assumption that you might even have these higher level clients who maybe you feel, well, man, they're smarter than I am. They're making more money than I am. Do they want me to coach them?
Totally.
And that is the best possible thing to have happened. Right?
I signed a client and we were doing one of our initial calls, and I had been, this was like a long-term relationship. It was a long time coming. I felt the nudge to just continue to reach out because I knew I could really help her. And I was so convicted in that. And I normally don't follow up, but we're friends. So every, couple months I was like, let me help you. We can do this. And eventually she came on board, and I remember we had our call and she was talking about how she just wrapped up this nearly like $400,000 launch. And I thought to myself, God, that feels so far away for me. But then again, the next moment I was like the person that she was leaning on to help her plan her next $1 million launch. And I think it says so much more about the results that you can get your clients than you can get yourself, because if anything, you want to make sure that that process is duplicatable.
Yeah. And so for you, what I'm hearing is you really just owned the fact, the belief that you knew that you had something that could help her no matter what.
And I got no's. I got told no probably like 5 or 6 times, but I just knew her business. I knew a lot about her personally and in her business that I had such a belief that I could help her.
Yeah. I hope, my intention is that this bit in particular, when people hear it, they feel liberated by this message, because it is so common, when we're starting the business, or even if we're already established, to feel like, oh my gosh, but I'm not to this point yet, whether it's intelligence or earning potential. How could I possibly support someone who, in my eyes, is there, but I'm not? And it really has nothing to do with it. It's about, do you have the thing that you know would make the absolute difference for them?
Yes, that's exactly it. It's about trusting yourself, I think, the root of it.
On that note, you made a post that I loved, and it was, when you show up as a watered down version of yourself, you're robbing the entire world of your authentic magic and gifts.
That's good.
Indeed.
Yeah, I felt like in 2020, I think I got to a point in my business where I didn't consider myself below. I considered myself like, I hate this like phrase, but like running with the big dogs, if you will. Like I was like, I'm not new at this. Like the people that I know their names, at the point visibly where they know my names. And I think I started to just feel overwhelmed by that. And like I was at this new level, if you will, where I had just something to prove. And it felt like, now I'm at this rank, which I think is such bullshit. I want you guys listening to know that like levels, ranks, anything I say isn't real. This was just my perception at the time. I just, yeah, it felt like noise. Like there was all this noise, and I was losing sight of like what got me to that place. Because the reason I scaled so fast is because I was literally just myself, and I felt very comfortable showing up on social media, and I never really filtered anything that I had to say. But the more visible I became by people who I perceived as smarter than me or better than me or farther along than me, the more I started to question, should I share that? Should I say it that way? And that was a lot to unpack and work through. And that was like a 6 to 8 month process for me, where I had to like lose myself to find myself again.
You said something in there that is gold. So essentially, it was when you embodied more of your authentic self, that is when the business grew.
Yep.
Exponentially.
Huge.
So I am so interested lately in patriarchal stress disorder. Have you heard of this?
No.
So it's PSD. It's the work of Dr. Valerie. Definitely check her out. I just got her book. And so to bring this back to what you just said, she talks about this, how and this isn't just women, that men are also, oppressed under a patriarchal system, right? But she focuses the work on women and marginalized people. Essentially, though, we are this way. We are afraid to fully express ourselves because in the past, when we did that, we were literally burned at the stake, or we were shunned or kicked out of the tribe. And so it's this very real ancestral and intergenerational trauma that we carry. And so I just find it so fascinating, because I think it's so equally important to note that if you feel this way, when you feel this way, because we all will, it's not because there's something wrong with you or inherently broken. It is, trauma, whether it's a capital T or a lowercase t, that we all have experienced just by being on this planet under that system.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, we're all just desiring to be understood at the end of the day. And I've learned a lot too, trauma aside and that aside, like, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, control. Control for me has been a big theme of like, I want my clients to get a good experience. Well, at the end of the day, I don't control their human experience or their perception, or I hope this post isn't misinterpreted. Well, I literally have no control over that. I only have control over what I am and am not willing to share. And so I had to do, I'm the type A planner, the 5-year planner. That was always my MO. And the more that I grow and expand, the more I am focused on just letting go. And people are like, what's your word for the year? I'm just like, let it all go. Like, just totally am in faith and trust, because that's what's worked for me every single time.
Oh, yes. Preach it, my friend. This year, when the new year started, I generally, my pattern is to be like, oh my gosh, I need to make my to-do list. I need to have my goals. I need to hit the ground running. And there was this part of me that was like, not ready to come out of the holiday cocoon. I wanted to just ease into it. But then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are you no, like it was such a conflict, right? It's this torment that we do to ourselves. But for high performers, I think that it can be so hard to unlearn the art of hustle. Not that there's anything wrong with hustling. There's a time and a place, right? But it becomes more of like, how can we still do that, but practice more having and receiving. And you use the term receivership, which I love. And you've talked about not always fully allowing support in, whether it's expanding the team or, maybe up-leveling mentorship, or maybe with a spouse or a partner. And I know you did a podcast episode on this, but Cliff's Notes version, was there anything tactical that you did to go from the giving, the doing, into more of the receiving in life and business? Or was it more of the energy and the mindset and the embodiment?
It was
aspect of it.
The embodiment piece of it. And I think I got caught in this like rabbit hole or hamster wheel almost of like, yeah, I am going to rest. But if I write this email, then I will go out to these people, and like these small tasks, I was looking to have these big impacts. So, sometimes we reach a point where we're just like finding things to do, because like my mindset's like, what am I going to do anyway? Like pick up the house, or I mean, it's cold, we can't go anywhere. Like I sometimes even find like I hide behind my business and use it as a hobby. So And I think that's a big root of it, is that I had to walk away to say, like, who am I outside of my business? What do I enjoy? Do I have hobbies? If not, can I find some? Because I'm not going to walk away from my work, which I'm passionate about, to go watch Netflix, which I feel, there's a season for that too, but that's not what I want to do every single day. So I started painting, and I started learning TikTok dances, and I started learning the piano, and I started to like find things to get lost in, because I feel like it's not like I'm going to go sit on the couch and be like, I'm going to receive, because then I'm just going to be thinking about business. But it's like, who do you want to be, and how do you want to occupy your time, and find your identity, find out who you actually are without the identity of your Instagram and your to-do list. And that is how I feel like I open myself up for allowance, because I was in a state of pleasure and play more often.
Yes. And the things you're doing, so like the painting and the dancing, you're moving, like you're still moving energy, right? And when we're used to being on the go and on the hustle and the grind, it's like that energy has to go somewhere in order to lead to more stillness and groundedness, right? We did a family salsa thing over the holidays. We were dancing in the kitchen. And the wild thing is, I have danced every day, quite embarrassingly, in the basement since the holidays. And I'm finding that this has been such an incredible practice, even if I'm doing it 20 minutes a day or whatever. But the movement to kind of like do something with that energy, instead of reverting to just, like you said, hiding behind the business or going and finding something to do. I love that you mentioned this, because I think for so many of us, we've been called to kind of figure out how to play more and have more fun. And I've found, I'd be curious on your perspective on this. I've found that we can take the lessons and the energy that come from those activities and infuse it and integrate it directly into the business. Whether it's, you're able to drop more into your feminine on a sales call, I don't know, or just like little things like this. Have you found that those activities are kind of also impacting those areas?
100%. And especially like the place where I'm at in my business, and you probably feel the same, is like I stay for the most part in my zone of genius. And there are things that I do on repeat, and I know about how long they take, and I know how they should feel and how they should look. And so it's a big red flag to me when I'm looking or doing something that might take me typically an hour and it's taking me 4. If I step away and move the energy, I don't always come back to it right away, but it helps productivity. Like if you're really talking about wanting to get more done, the best thing you can do is like, go into the task with a clear channel and heightened energy, because that's the thing that's going to allow you to knock through the to-do list in half of the time. And those things that you feel confused about or overwhelmed, or you're not sure what to price it or what to say, like you create space for those things to drop in. And the thing that I think I did in 2020, and if you really want to ask me what my word is, it is spaciousness for this year. And I just want more space. I want more space in my personal life. I want more space in my business. I want more space in my calendar, in my bank account, in my marriage. Like I just want space, because I think we get trapped too. And like, we know that we don't want to live in the past, because that can really impact what's coming in the future. But these high achievers that we all are, we are always looking into the future. And while that's positive when it comes to getting clear on what you want and manifesting, it's a double-edged sword if you're living in the future of what if nobody buys? What if I can't pay my bill? What if this doesn't work out? And I think for me, I learned that like I was always in the future, and then I realized the future doesn't even exist, and all there is literally right now. And I think I only learned that. For me, it's like a golden life lesson I'll take with me forever, but I would have never had that drop in without the space to see what actually matters.
So good. When you sit down in the morning to go through the day, I'm curious for you, how does that fit into your daily calendar? Are you someone who blocks schedules and time chunks and things like that? Take us behind the scenes?
This is a really great question. Another thing I think I've learned in rediscovering myself is that my rituals and my practices, I always had this perception of what they should look like. So like in meditation, like palms up and you sit still and you be. I found like I actually get into the most meditative state when I'm like rocking my body or stretching and but I didn't allow myself to go there. My workouts, it was like, I don't feel like doing a workout that's going to kick my ass for the next 2 weeks. But if I don't do it because I have to go all in, I'm not going to do it. So I just started using a little bit lighter weights, and that my consistency has really sparked up. And similar to that, like it used to be a podcast, but lately I'm so into waking up, having some water, taking my vitamins, and putting on an episode of Grey's Anatomy while I work out. And it's about, it's not really about what you're doing. It's about how you feel while you're doing it. And I'm not going to listen to a podcast just because I think that's what's going to help me grow if I'm not even in the mindset to want to do that. But the way that it fits in my schedule now is it's really so open. I've created so much space in my calendar that the challenge for me was actually unlearning the mindset I had in corporate, which was get in as early as you can so you can get out as early as you can. And so I have this like thing programmed in me where I open my eyes and I want to get to work so I can stop. But I don't hate my work anymore. And I really only have a couple of hours of work to do today. So usually my client calls won't start until 11 or 12. So I have that morning. Sometimes it'll look like admin work. Sometimes it's a workout. Sometimes I'll take a client call, then do my workout. Sometimes my meditation comes at night, but I hold myself accountable and I stay committed to staying in touch of what do I need today, because it might look different tomorrow and the next day. So instead of boxing myself in this rigorous routine and then having to unlearn this routine to go to the next, I just check in and what do I need today?
Mm. Moral of the story, start every day with McDreamy or McSteamy.
Yes, 100%.
Are they still on Grey's Anatomy? I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So it's like 18 or something. Wild.
Okay. Yeah. So there's like a general theme in what I'm hearing from you that I love. And it's that, and this is so freeing for so many people. The way that you're doing it now, it doesn't mean it's going to be the way that you'll always do it or have to do it, or it's not permanent. It's life and business is so fluid, and it's about really tuning into what you need in every season. It's going to look so different.
Yes, that's something I'm constantly having to remind my clients is you're not married to your Instagram bio. Like, who literally gives a fuck? Like,
Yeah.
You're not married to business coach or your morning routine or the way that you work with clients. Like, nothing is permanent. And I think that, if anything, it releases so much pressure that we can have the permission to change our mind whenever we want with no explanation. We don't owe anyone anything. All we need to do is like tune in and honor ourselves.
Yes. What is your favorite way? If you could choose one tactic or methodology, what is the favorite way that you create high-performing clients in your business? Create or attract or?
I think for me, it's about asking the right question. And for me, all of my clients think it's about strategy, and it never is. It really never is. But we always are just so, sure that we're missing something, the magic key, the magic pill, whatever it is. And a lot of the times, the things that are holding them back are like, they have nothing to do with business at all. And I was picking it up from one of my clients the other week, and I messaged her, and that's another thing in my coaching craft. I feel really connected energetically to my clients. And so when I pick something up, I used to ignore it. Now I just throw it out there to see if it's true. And normally it is, but I just said, how are things going for you? And she's like, they're peachy. Like, business is great. I have this launch. Things are good. And I was just like, this just doesn't feel right. So I was pressing her a little bit. I was like, how are things going personally? How are things in the relationship? How is your mental health? How is your physical health? Are you taking care of yourself? And come to turn out, she's having all of these just like huge things going on in her personal life that from the outside, it's like, of course, that's why things in your business feel so heavy. Like, you gotta focus on this, but we're so blind. And I even pointed out the contrast to her, like, you think things are peachy over here because you're making money in your business. Like, that to me is not my definition of success. What's going on holistically? And I think the biggest thing, especially when it comes to higher achievers, is taking them away from the task list and getting them to look at the bigger picture.
Yes. What is the thing that drives you crazy about this industry?
It's so hard to pick just one. I think for me, it's just the over promising and the under delivering is something that upsets me. And when I was new, I was just starstruck with like the buzzwords, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but now that I'm on the other side of 10K months, I realized 10K months were never the goal. It was just a buzzword, and everyone else wanted that, so I wanted it too. And it's just about like, what are you promising people? How are you going to get them there? Just knowing that, I've been in so many situations where I've invested in something and I go in cautiously optimistic because I have a marketing background. And so I know that I have a really solid foundation when it comes to a lot of the things that go into growing a business. So in the beginning, I made it almost about me, like, oh, I must just have really high expectations and this is just how it is. And then I kind of woke up from that. But I just think like people market things because they think it's buzzing or trending, and they don't talk about the root cause. And then people get into those programs and they get fed this surface level stuff that just breeds another surface level leader. And we don't need that. Like, we all want the depth.
So what I'm hearing is going deep, not wide.
Yes.
with clients. Like that's the game that you're playing, sort of thing.
Totally.
Yeah, I hear that.
Because when you're going wide, it's about volume, right? It's like how many people, at how many price point, and how much money is it going to be versus like, how can I really transform this person's life for the rest of my life so they're not codependent on me and they don't need a coach for the rest of their life. That's my goal.
Yeah. Girl, I can't tell you how many coaches I've had. And they were all amazing in their own right, but I can't tell you how many of them really never stopped and asked me if going wide is what I really desire.
Yeah.
And then coming up with this whole scaling plan, which yes, we want to scale, but I've always been the person, I just want to get with one amazing human and go deep, right? And to be constantly fed the, well, no, you got to touch dozens and hundreds of people and you got to do a low ticket thing so you can reach 1,000 people. And it's just, I really like how you put that. It's so important that we're asking those deeper questions of our clients so we can support them and really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a collaborative and co-creative process.
And how you do one thing is how you do everything. Sometimes I'll have clients voxing me in tears about a breakup or something going on financially or with their parents. And they're like, I'm so sorry. Tell me if this is like out of scope. And I'm like, I want you to understand that nothing's off the table because it's all connected. And so if I only know about your product suite and things inside your business, I can't actually fully help you.
Yes, I love that.
Mm.
I feel like that is a beautiful place to pause. And I'd love to just wrap this up with some rapid fire questions if you're up for it.
Let's do it.
All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Thoughtful, bubbly, and fun.
If we were not in a global pandemic and you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Montego Bay, Jamaica. It's our favorite place. We've been there a million times. We got married there and we were supposed to go in March, but we just canceled our trip. Soon.
Yes. What is your all-time favorite book? Life, business, whatever.
15 Habits of Conscious Leadership.
Ooh.
It's a good one.
What have you done that you're most proud of?
I am no longer driven by money. And that took a long time to get to because we need, money to live. But I think I'm in a place now where I'm just so fully focused on mission and I'm willing to lose it all to serve at a higher level,
Last one. What are you currently learning?
That I'm learning always that my clients are always a mirror to me too. And so to be really dialed into, sometimes I'm coaching them and I think in my head, oh shit, I'm talking to me. So it just causes me to like open my eyes to everyone I'm contacting and realizing that like it's all just showing me something.
And if someone watching or listening feels really magnetized to you, are they okay to slide into the DMs or how do you love to be found?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram right now. That's like the primary platform. It's at alignedandambitious.co. And I'm not sure when this will air in all the places, but we're launching a YouTube channel. And that is where I'm going to be hanging out for most of this year. It's called Aligned and Ambitious TV.
We will definitely keep our eyes peeled for that.
Yes, so excited.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I adore you. You're amazing.
This was such a nourishing conversation, and thank you so much for having me.